My name's Aldo, and I'm one of the psychics here on Psychic Today. And I want to share a little bit today with you about my work and some of the experiences I've had during my journey as a psychic and doing readings. Do you know, it's a very funny question because often I don't really recall exactly, but often I'm told stories from family members about things I would say or see when I was quite young. So I haven't really ever known sort of different. I've always been very sensitive. Family members would tell me, I'd sort of see things, know things. I think it sort of spooked them out a bit. I think it still does. But the first memory I have very clear in my mind was when my aunt bought me a deck of tarot cards, and it was very apparent to me I'd seen these things before. This was like coming home, and it was such a strong reconnection process that I was like, yeah, I've done this before. And instantly, it was like coming back into a relationship I'd have. So I really think I've done psychic work, not just this life, many lifetimes, and it felt so natural. But yeah, the earliest experiences I don't remember, but I've been told about, and I made a lot of it gave a lot of insights and things. I don't actually remember, but the age of 13, 14 was very significant when I got this first deck of tarot cards, because it was just evident, and from there I just sort of opened up and unfolded the connection more strongly. I think a lot of near-death experiences also, I've never really shared this, but I did nearly drown when I was quite young, and I think that did bring me into a connection point where I saw a guide, I saw a guardian, and I think that might have had a little bit something to do with seeing beyond the veil. I don't know, but truth be told, I can't tell you or pinpoint exactly when or what my first psychic experience was, but I think I've definitely done this before, and I do remember having that first deck of tarot, and it was like, wow, I've done that a few times before. How I connect to a client during a reading can be very individual, but there are a few things I do really with every reading. The first thing I do is go into the client's aura. So when I'm speaking to that client, either over the phone or face to face, I'm in the client's aura, I'm in their energy field. And this can tell me quite a few things. It can, tell me what they maybe are feeling, what, maybe is going on, what's maybe been happening. So it's really the client's aura that I will first get in and explore. And this doesn't really tell me so much about the future, but it gives me that insight, and it allows me to build rapport with the client so they can feel, at ease, they can feel connected, and it's just a really nice way of breaking the ice. I will then ask my guides and guardians to link into their, guides, their guardians, to relay any messages, and I'll set that as the sort of intention point. So after we've connected on that, I've connected on that aura level, and then very much asking to be shown any messages that they need to know or be aware of. But at the same time, I'm also asking and trying to get insight into what the client maybe wants to get insight into, and if it's okay, to get insight into all areas, or if there's a certain area. Some people don't always want to be looking at some areas of life. So I just want to be, first thing I wanted to be clear on, is it okay, we're going to talk about everything, or is there one thing you want to talk about, or whatever else. And as I'm asking the client, I'm also then sending that as a message to my guides and guardians, and setting that intention. Then I'll work with tools, potentially, maybe tarot, astrology, numerology. I tend to find that they can be nice tools to bridge and kind of confirm bridge the gap between me and the guides, and confirm whatever messages are coming through. And then it's very much a case of really relaying what I'm feeling, what I'm sensing. I'll often get insights as well through images. So I'll share images, and sometimes they don't really mean a lot to me most of the time, but share that with the client, and then that will often make sense or be relevant in some way. So that's really how I work. But predominantly I tune in initially. I connect on that auric level, on that heart level, on that soul level. So I'm looking at you, but I'm really kind of going into your auric field, and supporting you to explore what's going on. So I've definitely, experienced skepticism. Luckily, I've not really been on the receiving end of direct criticism, but yeah, skepticism, is definitely has been, common experience I've had, and naturally so. People are skeptical. What are you going to be doing? You're going into my aura field. You're doing what? You're going to read me. It can be sometimes seen as a bit of an invasive thing as well. So there can be a bit of fear. There can be a bit of judgment. There can be a feeling of, I don't believe this. Now, I think life is a funny way, doesn't it, of mirroring back what we're believing in. So it's not really my job to change somebody's beliefs. But the way I tend to handle it is it's important to come with an open mind. If you're not really open, I'm not going to be vulnerable and open with you if you're not really vulnerable or open with me. So it is a bit of a two-way stream. So I think one of the most significant readings I remember giving was to a doctor, and he was very annoyed. He'd come to me because his mother had passed, and he was very annoyed because his mother was very spiritual, but she didn't seek medical guidance, and so unfortunately, she passed away, and she didn't get medical treatment for her cancer. But he came to me, and I think he was just curious, but he had a lot of anger with it all. And I think in the reading, he was sort of just he had this preconceived notion that all spiritual people must be, not doing things that the doctor says, which is not the case at all. But this was his belief. So he had a very negative belief on what this was about, and for right reasons. He had a very unfortunately difficult experience. So he was sort of. In the end, I just said, look, he had a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, and I said, it sounds very upsetting, what you experienced. I think she came through. If I'm not mistaken, the mother did come through, but he was very, very angry with a lot of things, and it really wasn't the right time. And I think, I said, don't think this is working, and I'm sorry you hear that, but yeah, he had this really, sort of angry energy. And I think if you come with a reading and you've got that judgment, you've got that anger, you're not really going to get a lot out of it. So, the way I handle it is basically I say, come back when you're ready. So psychic readings, can be 30 minutes, an hour, 80 minutes in length. That's the sort of timelines that I tend to do sessions in, certainly privately. But the beautiful benefit here, of course, when you're getting a reading on Psychic Day, you're in control for as little or as long as you wish to have a guidance or experience. What I would say is a standard reading is usually anywhere from 20 to sort of 40 minutes. But people like to then have an update, and that can be anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. So that was a little bit about me, a little bit about my psychic journey. Stay tuned, and I'm sure I'll be sharing more things about my mad psychic journey in the future.